Part 1. Ash on the Breath. Theme: the first taste of impermanence, the intimate presence of death in the everyday. I, the first scent. There are moments in life when something unseen moves through the air and changes us forever. It is not the shock of catastrophe, nor the clang of finality. It is subtler, a drift of ash on the wind. It brushes the skin like the memory of a fire we never saw, carrying with it the scent of endings that are older than our lives. In such moments, the world loses its polish. The edges of reality show through, like worn metal beneath gilding. And in that revelation, death makes its first quiet introduction. Ancient traditions spoke often of this early visitation. In the Vedic hymns, the fire god Agni is invoked not only as the devourer of offerings, but as the carrier of souls into the invisible realms. The Greeks saw in the quiet falling of leaves the annual rehearsal of mortality. Among the Hebrews, the ashes upon the forehead in penitential rites were not marks of despair, but of remembrance that life itself is brief breath, and that the one who gave it will call it back. This universal symbolism of ash is the shared language of mortality. The Ashen Gate, the liminal threshold of this series, is not approached first with trumpets or visions, but with the faintest trace of smoke on the breath of the day. It is in the dimming of a familiar face, the sudden aging of one's own hands, the collapse of a long-held certainty. It is not yet death, but the messenger of death. Heraclitu, the lineage of ash. To understand this first visitation, we must know its lineage. Ash is not merely the residue of burning, it is the distillation of form into essence. Fire reduces all differences to the same gray dust. In this, it is a mirror of death, which takes emperor and beggar alike. Across traditions, ash is the universal remainder, the tangible memory of transformation. In Hindu funeral rites, the pyre's ash is gathered and returned to the rivers, the same waters that receive the sacred powders of worship. In early Christian monasticism, bones and ash were kept as relics, not as macabre trophies, but as signs that the saints had crossed beyond the reach of corruption. In Tibetan sky burial, the body's remains are ground with barley flour and fed to the birds, a living cycle in which the ash of flesh becomes sustenance for flight. All these practices understand ash not as waste, but as witness. It is the last testament of the form, testifying to what has been and to what has gone beyond. Death as the first teacher. When the first ash touches us, we are confronted with the essential truth that death is not the final intruder, but the first teacher. The earliest societies did not hide their dead. They lived among them. Graves were near the hearth. Ancestors were invoked in the field, and the skull was a presence in the hut, not a shorer, but as reminder. To be initiated in the ancient mysteries was to be taught how to die before one's body did. In the Eleusinian rites, the initiate passed through darkness, saw the symbols of dissolution, and emerged into the light, reborn with the knowledge that the end is a passage, not an erasure. In the Egyptian temple schools, the candidate lay in the sarcophagus of Osiris for 3 days, undergoing the trial of silence, only to rise as one justified before the gods. The first ash is the first whisper of this initiation. It bids us prepare before the summons is loud. Bit for modern amnesia. Yet in our own age, this visitation is often refused. The first ash lands, and we brush it away thinking it dust. Death is banished to hospitals and spoken of in the soft language of euphemism. We have traded the ancient companionship of mortality for the sterile denial of it. This refusal has a cost. To forget death is to forget the shape of life. Without the horizon of mortality, we live as if the day is without evening, and so we squander its hours. The ancients knew better. They built the Memento Mori into the very fabric of celebration. In Rome, a servant stood behind the triumphing general, whispering, "Remember you will die." Among the Vikings, the drinking hall's laughter waste tempered by the runed stones that told of warriors gone before. When ash is forgotten, so too is reverence. The first practice. What then do we do when the first ash arrives? The answer is not to flee it, nor to wallow in its shadow, but to welcome it as one welcomes a messenger from a beloved far away. The first practice is to pause and let the reality of endings enter the heart. The Tibetan Lojong tradition speaks of remembering death in the morning so that the day is not wasted, and at night so that the sleep is undefiled. This is not morbidity, but clarity, a daily aligning of the compass toward the real. A simple rite may be made of this. At dawn, take a breath and acknowledge. This day will not come again. At dusk, release the day as one releases a handful of ash to the wind. This practice weaves the awareness of impermanence into the living of each moment.